Hey guys, Regular Joe CEO, back for another installment. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since we dropped a video about, for you aspiring leaders, aspiring entrepreneurs. And truthfully, I got pretty busy at work, but also mostly I just been really stumped about the topic. So if you remember, or if you're just joining us, I'll tell you, we ran a poll and asked the group, would you prefer more broad general topics like I've been doing, things about leadership or team building, things like that, or would you like to hear about specific skills? And the group pretty overwhelmingly voted for specific skills. And then I kind of just locked up. I was like, man, that's pretty tough. I got to pick one thing. I got to talk about it in depth, and but I got to keep these videos short. So I'm going to try and just talk about risk management very briefly. And I think that maybe we can go into these topics in more depth later. It's still a little broad in the terms of risk management, but I want to talk about risk management in the way that you view it. And a lot of people view it as insurance. Insurance is the best example of risk management. It actually is risk management. And so if you're going to run a business of any kind, you need to be insured properly. You never know what's going to happen. You need to buy the appropriate insurance. You need to understand the risk of your business and buy insurance. But there are other things to really help you in insurance, and one of those is good financial forecasting. And so if you're new to a business, you're not sure. Maybe you're just going to school. Maybe you're doing, but you're trying to start up. Good financial forecasting is really important. Okay, good financial forecasts take into account, your potential revenues and the assumptions behind how you're going to get the revenues or sales, your potential cost, or your cost of goods sold, maybe if you're selling a product, your, I have some notes here, your taxes, how are you going to pay your taxes? What does that look like? If you have debt, make sure and put your interest expenses in those kind of things. So good financial forecasting is really about deeply thinking through the assumptions and then knowing the math to understand what's going to happen. And then tied to good financial forecasting is always, in my opinion, good accounting. These are things that if you're on a new startup, you're thinking, well, I can't afford all these things, but I'd argue you really can't afford not to. Maybe you got to get a contractor to help you, or a friend who's good at this thing, or bounce it off somebody. But you can't afford not to have insurance. You can't afford not to have good financial forecasting. You can't afford to have bad taxes, as a bad accounting that could result in bad taxes, or more especially make bad decisions. Good financial forecasting and good accounting also will help you as you incur debt in a business. So, there are ways to bootstrap finance a business, but I think most businesses that are meaningful, that are really going to grow on a trajectory, are going to be taking on debt or selling equity. Equity is a lot more expensive than debt, but whatever you do, you got to understand what you're selling. If you're selling it, you got to understand what you're borrowing. If you're going to go to a bank or a lender or a group of lenders, having those, understanding the mechanics of your business and how they create value and the costs associated with that are really important. You'll get shut down if you don't. So, you can't afford not to, because there come a day you need debt and you can't get it because you didn't do these things, and then you're just scrambling to catch up. Another thing that I think is really important for risk management for businesses is sound legal advice. And let me tell you something. Good lawyers ain't cheap, and cheap lawyers ain't good. You need to remember that. Doesn't mean you got to go hire Racehorse Haynes, if that's even a thing. I'm showing my age with that one, but you just have to get good, sound legal advice. Look, lawyers are not infallible. Infallible. You have to use your own critical thinking, and you have to ask the right questions, and you have to tell them the full story to get good, sound legal advice. But it's worth the money when you need it. And then most importantly, I think when you add all these things of insurance and good financial forecasting, good accounting, good sound legal advice, is you have to have good operational dashboards. And that is, you have to understand what's going on in your business quickly. Think of a train running off the tracks and maybe derailing. That train started to wobble way before the pile you see, okay? And so one of the things I really do in my business is try to understand the condition of the operation as fast as I can without overburdening my teams for the information. So I work really hard to create really visual tools that help us, but some people use spreadsheets, some people, have apps, some people have all kinds of things, but you need to know what's going on in your business. You need to know what that means so you can intervene sooner. You can provide support to your teams that need it if they're in trouble or things of that nature. So This is kind of a risk management. The last thing is, regardless of the industry you're in, there's probably some sort of regulatory body that's maybe regulates your business. Maybe it's a local municipality. It could be a federal agency or a state agency. You have to understand that you have a license to operate, and that license to operate may be a physical license, but also your license to operate can be taken away from you for a lot of other reasons. Big lawsuits. Your license to operate could get put in the hands of the court. Um, Big regulatory problems. Your license to operate could be handed over to a regulatory problem. Big PR problems could, kind of hand your license to operate to the public domain. And anybody knows me knows I'm not a big fan of this PC revolution. I think people need to just do the right thing. And, I don't really worry about who gets offended, but I do worry about our business being in the limelight. And being in the business I am in, we generally are in that kind of crosshairs, professionally. So, but your business has someone watching something, and you have to understand there's a theoretical license to operate you need to manage. One way to help manage that license to operate and reduce your risk is obviously, in my opinion, giving back to communities you work in, trying to have community involvement, things of that nature. So, again, I hope I helped you around specific topics of risk management. If you'd like to hear more about these specifically, drop me a line on the video. I always get in trouble from Jackie, but I'm going to drop this in here. Our Facebook is at Regular Joe CEO. Our Twitter is at Regular Joe _CEO, and our Instagram is Regular Joe CEO. And the website's not up and running, but it's regularjoeceo.com. So, anyways, I hope you're enjoying the videos. I'm really happy to drop a new one. It's a great Sunday afternoon, so I've been playing all weekend. I thought I'd come up here and do that. You guys did drop me some specific topics, but again, keep those topics coming, and I really do appreciate it. So anyways, thanks, and we'll see you next episode.